Welcome back to NewsMakers, where we've been talking about COVID. Is it real? Is it a hoax? Do people get it? Do they not get it? Should we wear a mask? Should we not wear a mask? What's the truth? We've asked a very special guest in today, Susan Bechara, because she had it. She's here to give her testimony. She had it. And by the way, we're not sitting next to each other. We got a big distance, you can see. My mom watches this show. She calls me and says, Mike, get away from that person. But we're about 8 feet apart or so. So you're a talk show host. And what's the name of your show?
Get to the Point.
And it's right here on Central Valley Talk and on our YouTube channel, our Facebook and everything. Get to the Point with Susan Bechara. It's on Wednesdays at noon.
Yes.
And very interesting show. Tell us just a little bit about what you guys talk about on the show.
Well, actually, what my show is about is truly, the Lord puts it in my heart, is to make sure people understand their First Amendment rights.
Okay.
Which is being able to have freedom of speech without having to be judged by anybody. Mm-hmm. Just educating people on how to utilize their rights on the First Amendment, on all those listings.
Now, we're going to ask you about COVID. I'm going to ask you in a little bit. I want to do some other things first, but, you know, what it feels like, what you went through, and things like that. But let's take a step back to before you got the COVID. What did you think? Were you wearing a mask? Were you careful? Or were you just, you know, living?
To be honest with you, I'm just like everybody else. I wasn't sure how dangerous COVID was, but as it becomes more relevant, I'm not naive. You know, my kids start nagging me because the kind of work I do, I see a lot of people.
Right.
Okay? So, of course, we wear masks.
Yeah.
Okay? But I can't mandate that.
Right.
At the beginning, when we were all isolated and everything else, right, we had to cut down a lot of things that we do in our business because I had to cut down the groups in my class that I do for the juveniles.
Do you outreach to young people?
No, we don't do even that.
What do you guys do?
What we do is we do intervention. A majority of our clientele are from probation and from the police department. They're all at-risk youth.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of counseling for families, marriages, you know, couples, because we got to start from the home.
Yeah.
So during this COVID thing, I found out that there's more and more needs, especially in marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Families, oh my goodness, we had a lot of those, you know.
So you have to meet with a lot of people.
I do meet with a lot of people, but we don't meet like the way we're sitting right now. We follow those guidelines.
Yeah.
It really is common sense. A lot of things are common sense. A lot of people ask me, how did you get it, Susan?
Yeah.
Some people will say, well, you're always around people and this and that. Which is true.
Yeah.
When we do a little bit of assemble, right?
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 people. But I didn't get it from my workplace. I found out that after church, because the way the church is doing it also, that we have to be careful, right? We still assemble in small groups like barbecue and all that. I'm just going to be up front.
Yeah.
And we always want to make sure that everybody there is not coughing or anything like that. Yeah. In my case, we were doing a barbecue, and that was like, it didn't just happen like that. I mean, in my case, I didn't carry it for 3 to 14 days, like people say, you know, if you have COVID, if you're around people with COVID, you got to isolate yourself for 14 days. Those are real. Yeah. Because what happened to me is within 3 days.
It's in 3 days.
I wasn't aware. Where did I get it from? People keep asking me, even at the hospital when I was there. They said, do you know where you got it from? I'm not too sure. I said, because the last thing I remember when I got sick was those 3 days prior to that weekend, I was in a barbecue, you know, but there's not that many people. We were all different people wearing masks.
It only takes one person.
It only takes one person.
And one of those people at the barbecue had it.
Right. Okay. And I'm not saying we shouldn't wear a mask or we should wear a mask. But I wasn't wearing a mask when we went to the barbecue. Okay. Okay? Other people wear a mask. So with COVID, I would say this. Regardless how careful you are, you never know if you got it. Right. It could be just like that. With me, 3 days. My symptom is not what everybody thinks. You lose your taste, you lose this. No, everybody's symptom is different. Yeah. I didn't have any breathing problem. I didn't have any sore throat.
So you went to the barbecue. Next thing you know, you're sick.
Well, I was feeling tired.
Yeah.
When I was at work, I was feeling tired.
Okay.
And my staff and my volunteers said, you need to go home.
Did you find out later that somebody at the barbecue had it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And so
later. But they didn't have it like me. One of them, they just isolate themselves. 14 days, they test again, and they're good.
Yeah.
The other one went to the hospital also, but he only went for a week.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in the hospital for almost a month.
So after a couple days, you started feeling kind of pretty sick, and you decided to go to the doctor.
Well, the day that I went to the hospital for emergency was because I was feeling like I don't have appetite. Mm. I was always tired. Then I had diarrhea. Mm. Nothing to do with my respiratory at all. So I said, okay, it's not good. So to be cautious as a business owner, I told all my staff, because of this COVID thing, mm-hmm. I didn't think I have it, but whatever it is, close it down. Yeah. So I had closed my business for 6 weeks.
Just to make sure everybody's
okay,
safe,
and everybody has to be tested. And the beauty of it is that none of my staff or all the kids that come had COVID.
Hmm. None of them do?
No,
okay.
But they got tested.
Yeah.
And so I closed it down. Even when I reopened last week, before I reopened, I took precaution. This is all up to the individual, right? So, I had the COVID people coming to clean up the whole office.
So you weren't feeling well, and you went to the doctor or the hospital?
No, I went to the emergency.
Emergency.
It's hard to see a doctor these days.
It is very hard, yeah.
And a month prior to that, I just talked to my doctor with a virtual, and I was fine.
So when you get to emergency, were you tested or?
Well, I went to the emergency. They kept me there 6 hours. Mm-hmm. They tested me. They told me I have COVID.
Wow.
But what happened was they sent me home 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I wasn't understanding that at the beginning, but now I see why. They have a lot of people with COVID. What happened is I went back the next day because I started throwing up. Ah. That's when they kept me.
So you got a test and they told you the same day that you had COVID.
Yeah. They sent me home. They said I need to take Tylenol or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then when I got home, I started throwing up, and I said, this is not good. So what happened is the next day I just went back to the hospital and for emergency. That's when they kept me.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I wasn't aware of it. They said I had the worst kind. It's called pneumonia. Mm. And I was healthy, and that's what bothered them. Usually I'm pretty healthy. Within 3 days, that's when they decided that either I'm going to go into that, what do you call it?
Put a respirator or something?
Respirator, ICU, or I can try these trial drugs, they said. That hasn't been approved at the time. Yeah. It's called remdesivir.
Okay.
And the plasma treatment. Now I understand the difference between regular plasma and the one I got, convalescent plasma.
So you get there, you go to the hospital, you go home, you get sick, so you go back to the hospital, and did they admit you then?
Yes,
and
because I was throwing up.
I don't mind saying this because we're both kind of the same. We're young. Mm-hmm. When we get our age, you got to be more careful.
Yes, definitely.
And at the hospital, so they admitted you, and then you were just in there for a long time. How long?
I was there almost 3 weeks.
3 weeks in the hospital?
I mean, almost a whole month.
Yeah. Because I was emailing you. I was afraid to email. I thought, what if she doesn't make it or something? I didn't know. So finally I just emailed you. Where are you? I want to know where you are. And you said, I'm at the hospital still.
What happened was when I started to recover, 2 weeks when I was in the hospital, that's when people told me, did you know that you almost died? I said, really? That bad? But I think one of the things is, I can't tell everybody this, you know me, my personality. I'm one of those people that I don't go into it so long to be depressed.
Right.
I always have hope in everything. Yeah. And I did pray a lot. And it was amazing.
So when you're in the room, did they let you have visitors?
No.
Yeah.
No visitors at all.
Had to be by yourself.
I'm always by myself. I was in Kaiser. I'm promoting Kaiser today because they're really excellent. Because my friend, she told me that she had a friend, her mother-in-law went to the hospital in Hanford, had COVID. They requested remdesivir trial drugs and plasma. The hospital wouldn't give it to them.
Wouldn't give it to them, yeah.
And then when they needed him to transfer to a bigger hospital, they wouldn't either. Huh. And the person died.
Oh, boy, yeah. So people right now are going crazy because they're isolated at home. You know, I got to stay home. I can't go. But that's worse, going to the hospital and being isolated. It would be better to be isolated at home when you're healthy than getting the COVID and have to go what you did, isolated in that room for 3 weeks all by yourself.
Yeah, no visitors, nothing. All I have are just the nurses.
Yeah.
And the respiratory therapist and the doctor.
Yeah.
It was tough because then I had to go home and isolate myself for another 3 weeks.
Now, what were your symptoms at the hospital? How did you feel?
At the beginning, I wasn't focusing so much on it. Is that people told me that when I text them or tell them, a few people, they said I could barely talk. I could barely talk. I don't have any energy. And I couldn't eat.
Yeah.
I was just a little bit, I would say, not aware of a lot of things. I was just not eating.
Yeah.
I could barely talk, and they put the respiratory for me. They changed a few times to the biggest one. My oxygen was not going well.
Right.
It was at 75, so it was bad. I'm not talking about the oxygen. I'm just like saying I have nothing.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it on my own. But right after the remdesivir, that is the amazing thing.
Now, you said you didn't have the feeling of losing your taste or smell.
No, I don't.
Did you feel you were having trouble breathing?
No, during the time I went to the hospital, I didn't have a trouble breathing. I just don't have energy.
Yeah. So it hits different people differently.
Yeah, but at the hospital, when people told me that I could barely talk, to me it's almost because I don't have energy.
No energy, yeah.
And then when they told me about the oxygen, that's when I said, oh, gee, maybe I wasn't breathing right either.
So then you got out of the hospital, and you still waited 2 weeks before you came back here.
No, 3.
3 weeks, okay. And they say you're not contagious at all, right?
Right now, to be honest, this is the funny thing. I don't know how people are going to look at this. They said you recover from COVID, right? When the doctor told me, and I know it sounds crazy, he said, you conquered COVID. So what's the difference? At first I was just kidding. I was making high fives to everybody in the hospital. I said, hey, we are all conquerors of COVID. Not until I went home and I'm more coherent and I'm more healthy and everything. I still have to put oxygen, and I had to take my blood pressure and my oxygen level. But within a week after I got home, I don't need the oxygen anymore. I don't need the walker. They gave me physical therapy and all that. I'm pretty much good now, but I have to be more careful. But here's the thing. When you say you conquer COVID, right, that means with the kind of treatment I got, I don't have COVID.
I see.
The only difference would be right now, my immune system has to be more careful if somebody else got a cold. I'm not going to get COVID again. I'm actually free from COVID. Now, I wanted to donate my plasma, but now I also learned because my recovery was not from regular plasma. It was from the convalescent one.
What does that mean? Do you know?
That means I've got to wait because my recovery is from somebody else's antibody. So I got to wait about 6 months to a year for me to be able to donate my plasma.
Convalescent.
Whereas plasma, regular plasma, it could be like a friend of mine. He and his wife got COVID. They isolate themselves. And then they donated their plasma at the blood center. So it's different. They can donate. So anybody out there, if you had COVID and you recovered from it negative, please donate your blood right now. You are eligible for that, not me. I have to wait. That's the difference.
Well, you were kind of careful. You caught it. You suffered. You're in the hospital for a long time. Thank goodness they tried experimental treatments. You're over. You isolated for a long period after that. What do you tell people out there now? What should people be doing? Should they be wearing masks? Should they be staying home? Should they be washing their hands? What's your advice to people?
Okay, washing hand is common sense. You got to be washing your hands anyway if you go to the bathroom. That's common sense. But you just have to be more careful now because those germs can be picked up. Like me, I'm more careful, to be really honest. Number 2, you should know your own body. If you have prior, health problem, maybe asthma, maybe respiratory or other kind of health problem, you need to be more careful. Just like every other illnesses. But the different why people get so excited about COVID is we don't have a treatment yet. So there's a panic with things that are unknown.
And masks?
Well, when it comes to the mask, I'm wearing more the mask right now only because I don't want to pick up something from other people because you never know. I'm more careful.
Well, your immune system's weak. You could get a flu or a cold or all kinds of stuff.
I have to make sure that I'm safe. But for those of you who feel like mask is a joke or you have to wear a mask, right, you're really not helping the community. But we can't mandate something like that. This is what America is about. But every place you go, there are rules. And the person who owns that business have the right to refuse service for you.
Make their own rule, yes.
And make their own rule. But for the governor, I hate to bring this to politics, to actually mandate this and mandate that, I don't think that's fair. I mean, we have common sense. I mean, like, I believe that restaurants shouldn't be on a waiting list and, you know, a lot of crowded people, maybe they need to cut that down.
Yeah.
Churches and all that. But now with the weather like this, what are you doing? I mean, we can't be outside with the smoke like that and eat outside. You're just making them more sick.
Well, I noticed a certain restaurant / bar that I go to. They have a bar in there. I eat at the restaurant. I enjoy it. They got closed. And then when they reopened for a while, everybody comes in and crowds up to the bar again. I go, because that's why they're going to close.
Good, yeah.
And they closed it again. And now they're reopening. People need to learn that, yeah, this is what's causing us to get shut down. Even if you think it's a hoax, you know, you're causing it to get shut down.
Here's how I look at it, to be fair, on both sides, right? If they open it up, try to help each other out and use your common sense. Don't crowd anymore.
And help the restaurant owner.
And help the restaurant owner and follow the rules.
Not getting them shut down.
Right.
So this is what I do. I go into well, you can't go in restaurants right now, but my places I hang out, they've opened outdoor seating now.
Yeah.
So I wear my mask. I find my chair, sit down 6 or 8 feet from other people, and then I take my mask off and relax.
Yeah.
And sometimes when the waitress comes, I put it on out of respect for them because they have a mask on. And I notice, though, I always get a flu or a cold or something, but I have no illness this year, just from little stuff. I'm not even really good. Some people are very strict about it. I'm not perfect at wearing the mask, but I've been better at it. So I think it's helped me. I wash my hands, and I saw the videos how to wash your hands and stuff like that. So I think maybe this helps.
I carry a hand sanitizer everywhere I go. I have a box of masks, the disposable masks, just in case people come in my car or whatever. I'm just more careful, which I'm as guilty, you know. Now, when those kids come into my place, right, they all have to wear a mask. If not, I can provide them with the service. So that's because it's my room, right? If they don't wear it, then it's up to them. I'm not going to mandate, I'm not going to force them.
They don't have to come in.
They don't have to come in.
I give masks away, too. So there was a homeless guy the other day, and he came in, where do you get the masks? I said, here's a pack of them, 10 of them. One of our talk show hosts, Carol Love Forbes, was just in. I said, do you have enough masks? She goes, well, I use the same one. I go, no, here, take a pack.
That's why I bought boxes of the masks. It's only to give it away.
I do that, too.
If people come in, they didn't bring a mask with them, I'll just give it to them and wear one. And everybody has to have a hand sanitizer as they come in.
And my parents are 80, 85 years old, and these people who think there's no COVID, they want to bet my parents' life on that. I said,
no, you can't do
you know,
that.
So, yeah. I say the people who don't want to be safe, they need to kind of stay at home right now.
Yeah, like the last 2 days, right, in Fresno. The air is so bad to 280, right?
And the people following the rules don't have to
I didn't
stay
go
at
out
home.
because I just recovered, so I'm not going to put myself out there. I didn't go. Today, the air is a little bit better. I go, like last week when I started going back to work, I only worked like 2-3 days for a couple of hours. It's just to be safe. I mean, it's all common sense. I mean, we all have one, but we've been programmed sometimes, I think, to not have it anymore.
They're telling me we're out of time, but I just want to say our guest is Susan Bechara. She hosts a show here on Central Valley Talk every Wednesday or every other Wednesday at noon. And she got the COVID, and she's here to tell us, it's a real thing. Be kind of careful. She survived, thank God.
Thank God, and I have to follow all the rules. I have to use the walker first for the first week. I got to exercise, get back myself. You got to follow the rules.
So you had a lot of recovery then. Like you had to have a walker for a while and some physical therapy.
For a week, and physical therapy and oxygen. Some people may get longer. It depends on your body, but I'm one of those. I discipline myself.
Susan, I got to tell you, is a very healthy and very vibrant person, and it knocked her on her behind, and she's still getting back up from that. It's been a couple months.
Yeah, it has been. I think 2 months.
Yeah, so my advice, Susan's advice, don't get COVID. It's no good.
No, it's not a joke.
Yeah.
You need to take that seriously, really.
We'll be back with more Newsmakers, but thanks, Susan, and I'm glad you're here. Thank God you're here.
Thank you, Mike. Anytime, if anybody really wants to talk about COVID, I am a living proof.
Yeah, we're the real deal. So we'll be back with more Newsmakers right after this.